Welcome to your tropical weather update for Sunday, July 10th. There are no highlighted features in the Atlantic Basin or the Pacific Basin, and that includes Tropical Storm Calvin that dissipated overnight. It is really quiet in the tropics out there today. We only have 2 weak tropical waves traversing the central Caribbean. There's also another very weak wave near 45 degrees west longitude. And other than that, the intertropical convergence zone is suppressed well to the south due to the strength of the subtropical ridge to the north. And we still have the monsoon trough near Central America, but it's not doing much this morning. SIMS wind shear analysis shows that upper level winds are too strong for tropical cyclone formation across many of the climatologically favored areas of development for the middle part of July. And you can see that by looking at all the yellow colors here across much of the Gulf, Caribbean, West Atlantic, and even the Eastern Pacific at the moment. Only the far central and eastern Atlantic are favorable, where there are no active tropical disturbances at this time. If we take a quick look at the latest satellite imagery, we notice that pretty much everywhere in the tropics is in the clear today. There's nothing that really stands out, except for perhaps this trough off the east coast of the United States. But nothing is organized. Again, upper level winds are very unfavorable. None of the models show any development from that. And once again, on the latest water vapor imagery, you see that much of the western half of the basin is being dominated by upper level troughiness. Also, the central and eastern Atlantic are quiet. Sure enough, it looked like a tropical wave was about to exit the coast of Africa, and it's doing what all of the most recent tropical waves have done once they've entered the eastern Atlantic to the south of the Cape Verde Islands. The convection quickly falls apart, which once again is fairly typical for the middle part of July. It's still a bit early for development out here. We thought that the second half of July could be a little bit more active in the eastern and central Atlantic, but so far so good, and the models aren't showing a whole lot in the near term. There's nothing imminent in the eastern Pacific either. This is the remnants of Hurricane Calvin. It quickly fell apart within about a 24 to 36 hour span, and it's not going to regenerate as it continues to move into cooler sea surface temperatures and an environment with even drier air. Also to the south of Mexico, nothing organizing this morning, so we're all clear for at least the next 48 to 72 hours. This is the latest 0Z CMC run. As you can see, it doesn't really show much in the tropical Atlantic or eastern Pacific over the next 6 days. This is the 144-hour day 6 time frame. As has been the case for the past several days of model runs, toward the very end it begins to lower the pressures along the Central American coast here, but nothing over water and nothing in terms of tropical development. The most recent 6Z GFS also shows the same general pattern, with not much in the Gulf, Caribbean, or West Atlantic, especially within the first 5 days of the period. But if I go ahead and fast forward to day 7, you see that much like the Canadian CMC, we have lower pressures over Central America. Still nothing over water, though, so that's really promising in terms of not seeing any development over the next week. And it also takes a fairly strong tropical wave off the coast of Africa, and by day 7 it's approaching 40 degrees west longitude. And finally, the 0Z version of the ECMWF model keeps the tropics pretty quiet throughout the foreseeable future. This is now day 7. You still don't really see much of anything. Pattern-wise, we still have a very strong area of mid to upper level ridging across much of the central United States, keeping temperatures above average across much of the southeast and south central United States. By day 7, the model is expecting a very strong long wave trough off the east coast, followed up by a continued presence or enhanced presence of the Atlantic subtropical ridge that would help to keep things suppressed out in the central and eastern Atlantic for at least the next week. And now we're getting into day 8, 9, and 10, and we still don't see much cooking in the deep tropics, and the pressures really aren't much lower than what would ordinarily be expected down here across Central America by that time. So that sums up the tropics for this Sunday. Please check by tomorrow for another extensive video update from 28storms.com.